All right. So bets on the future. We are betting all day long in so many different ways. We just probably don't stop to think about it. I bet this morning when I got up at 5 a.m. that I could get everything ready for today, and I'd been working for 3 days on it. I bet that I could get a bath done in time to be here, that I could get my clothes changed, that brushing my teeth, I'd save on the cavities when I see the dentist. I bet that I'll finish on time, go ride the horse, and then go to my new therapist for rehab. So the point I want to make is we're betting all the time. It's just we tend to think of it as just the casino bets or the big stock investment bets, things like that. And leaders in particular are betting on the future in authentic and inauthentic ways. Um, And so I'll give you the example today of Enron Corporation. Grace Ann and I did a lot of research on them, probably published 6 different articles on them, and did the analysis of who said what, when, to whom, and who wasn't quite being a true storyteller. So when we do something with bets on the future, we're talking about foresight, foreseeing the future can be based on our habits. Like I know our habit of getting up in the morning here, and I know the habit of riding the horse. I know the habit of meeting you on Mondays. So some things are a little bit predictable. But I also read, my Tom Lemke books in the morning, and it's about foreseeing the future and being grateful for the future approaching me. And I'll just say one more thing before I dive into the slides and then the first breakout. We tend to have been trained to think of the time just moving from past to present to future. But upon, I don't know, 30 years of research and writing about it, I think that the future is walking toward us, whether we want it to or not. And it's about understanding how that future is happening. And then we try to hedge our bets by doing a little planning or getting prepared, etc. Like we know the air, I was preparing for the conference coming up, and I didn't know if I get an airline ticket or not, but hearing from several of you, I realize airlines are going to be running, and hopefully they'll settle down by December the 16th when I'm supposed to arrive in Long Beach. We're betting that the conference will have good attendance. I'm scheduled to do 2 sessions, one with Doug and another with Olivia and Tom and Grace Ann. And one is for just leadership, what I'll call today the 7 Bs of leadership. And the other is for veterans and their family members. So that's going to happen in Long Beach. It will happen. You know, I'm pretty sure my sessions will get there. And if I can't get there on an airline, I will drive there. And I would look forward to that. Anyway, so that's what I want to sort of clarify as we get going. This is about, in the first part of it, kind of general bets on the future. And with that, I'd like to share some things that are going on here. So in Growth OD, we believe that we plant good roots and the things above ground will grow in good soil. So we got the 5 pillars. But what if your leadership was a story awaiting to grow, what we will call a seed? I call them your story seeds. And I relabeled all the tests I was doing, and some of you took the tests already. Story seeds of leadership, and now they're part one, two, and three, all in the same venue, and it takes about 10 minutes to do them all, maybe 15. Depends on how much time you want to spend. And it allows you to do what I call the 7 Bs approach, and that is to express your values. And there's an AI prompt in the first part of it that says, this is what the beneath means, and gives some more definitions, and then ask you to write what some of your beneath values, opinions, etc. are all about. Then it goes into the before and then today and to the bets on the future. And we're getting to these in the next weeks ahead: being, becoming, between, beyond. So that assessment is now available. It seems to be working. I tested it. So if you find it's not working, let me know. Send me an email and I'll tweak it up. But I'm real excited about it. Got the new name, Story Seeds of Leadership. Wrote chapter on the book on bets today, about Enron today. And what you get is you get a story seeds analysis, you get the mindfulness profile, you get a dialogue health index, all in one session. And we just call the whole thing Story Seeds of Leadership. So it's all integrated, it's free. So let's talk about those 7 Bs and how you can nurture them in your own life. A little bit more about them, at least the first few. Deep assumptions and belief. In true storytelling, we say, what's the energy you're going to put into what's true, and can you make that sustainable? And that has to do with understanding your own prejudices, your own stereotypes, your own assumptions, the fact that your view is not the only view on the planet. Then we did before last week the history, our own personal histories, the organization histories, and how there's so many of them happening. Now that the airlines are opening, all those histories open up again in so many ways. The conference is happening. And so my history is pulling out things for the conference as an example. Bets on the future. Leaders show a certain commitment to the future. I've expressed 12 different bets already this morning to you, and then we'll go on to the others in subsequent weeks. So the beneath is the deep values and beliefs that form fundamental soil. We did that 2 weeks ago, and it can be blocked by your judgments. Then the before is formative experiences and contexts that are roots of your present story. And then good news is we can choose little wow moments of what we're going to develop. And the beneath and the before, you might expect or connected. We have the beneath is about your internal foundation and values, and the before is more historical foundations of your experiences. Bets is today, and that's the vision and foresight for the future. Every bet is a seed for what's possible. So the warning back from beneath also can block your bets. Biases from beneath, bets and bets. So there's a lot of different bets and biases, and they affect your bets on the future. So some people think they have good luck and good fortune, and that's going to affect their nature of being. What I'd like to do is take a few questions on what I've just said and then get a breakout for about 10 minutes about just your personal bets you've had today. Things you bet on today that you may not have stopped to think about. Um, I think Grace Ann bet I'd get the dishes done, and I didn't. Something like that. So we'll keep it simple for the first round. But let me take some questions. Uh, are you up to speed on what I've been doing since last week, Sue?
Yeah, so how do you differentiate the bets between, let's say, your to-do list that you might have done last night, what you're going to do today, or what you need to do, or that type of thing?
Okay, so yesterday I did a to-do list, and I got it right here. And had 12 things on it, and I got 3 done. So I decided not to judge myself going into beneath that I didn't get it all done. And I carried you know, 9 of them forward today, and I got about seven of those done this morning. And so I'm learning on my bets that I'm probably not going to get all my to-do list done. So forgive myself and try not to be the workaholic that I was before I met Grace Ann. Right, Grace Ann? So that's a good question. Any more questions, comments, concerns? Did anybody do their homework and check out the stuff for today, Paul?
I sort of made my way through it. It was blissfully, everything was little chunks. I very much appreciated the brevity of each thing, much more digestible. And I actually started it sometime early this morning and made my way through all of it. I did not do the assessment, which was whichever one of those it was.
That's
Um,
okay.
um, uh, but having done the homework, I feel good. Um, I
Okay.
bet that I would, let's see, I bet that I would derive benefit from it. And
Sweet.
there is okay, bye. There's a sink full of dishes though upstairs.
Well, I think what I'll do, say I'm very grateful, Paul, for you doing that. And I'll have a thing in the email with some responses, and it's all confidential because I'm not blabbing. And then I'll run through the analysis and take you on to part 2 or 3. Um, Let me show you a video that's real short that I think will summarize what we're doing. Um, Let me see. The video is okay. Hold on. Grace Ann has a question. Grace.
Just a quick comment to address Sue's point. I
Yeah.
think the difference between um, a bet on the future and a to-do list is the focus on the outcome. It's the instrumentality. I'm expecting that I'm going to get not this particular action, but what it's going to lead to. So, so if the dishes aren't done, life will be chaos, or
All
something,
right.
something like that.
Well, thank you very much. So let me show my little short film and see how that goes. Okay, that's all set up. Story Seed of Leadership has just been released by growthod.org. It's an assessment of your leadership, it takes about 15 minutes. So your story seed are all the fragmented bits of experience you've got, expectations and dreams of you becoming a leader. And it's laid out in this, what I call the 7 Bs. And I've been working on it for, I don't know, 35 years. And it's now available. And you can go there for free. You build your wonderful narrative identity as a leader out of little story seed fragments. Okay. Shorter than I thought it was. All right. So that's the shorter version. So with that, what kind of story seeds or bets have you planted today? And even if you didn't think about them yet, now's a good time. And all you got to do is come up with one, share it in a minute, and we'll do it with the talking stick style. You share and next person shares, and then pick somebody to summarize the big insight and of the day for themselves, but don't share anybody else's story. Just you got license to share your own, and then come back and we'll talk about that part, and then we'll go dive into Enron and how they really got things screwed up with their inauthentic bets. All right. Does that sound good? So Jack, did you want to have a comment or question?
You ask us to give you our 1 minute inspiration on this piece. Is that what you're asking?
Just to reflect on the morning, what bets have you made so far?
Okay, well, for me, I have a goal where I want to be a successful, inspirational speaker, and
Yeah.
I want to be sought after, and I want to be in demand. Okay, as
Okay.
a speaker on stage, and that's my inspiration and my insight from so far this morning.
Oh, great. So you can come up with one more insight and share it in the group. And we've got 6 rooms set up, and the rooms are open, and I'll give you about 10 minutes to share. All you got to do is press the button, and off you go. I'll time it. I'll stay here till Jim and Grace Ann are in. Everybody's in. Good. So. Hmm. Hmm. Hi, Grace Ann. Welcome back. You're on mute. Hi, Ken. Hi, Grace Ann. You're on mute too, Ken. You might be talking to somebody else.
I accidentally hit. Sorry,
Hi,
Olivia.
Olivia.
I accidentally hit return to room.
I did too.
Okay, you guys are impulsive betters.
This is the accidental
Yeah.
tourist.
Hi,
Right.
Susan.
Hi, Susan. Oh,
I'm going to let Olivia summarize our experience.
oh
Okay,
God.
they're coming back
Well,
in. Let's see. Yeah, they're all here.
don't call on me first. I'm going off camera for a minute.
Okay, we won't call on you first. All right. Who would like to start it off? Somebody.
I'll
David,
start. Okay.
frame
Nazi.
what you want us to share.
Share one thing that was an insight, but you can only share your own story if you're going to do that.
Okay.
And you got under 2 minutes.
I think it's better Grace Ann start. I can go with second.
Oh, that's okay. Go ahead.
Well, I talked with Carol and our story we had a synergy. Our story was kind of counter major stream or mainstream because we both had kind of our balance was lean more toward having more misfortune in life, having more difficulties, and so we are more toward pessimist and kind of more materialistic, disconnected to the nature, and that's not good. At least I confess that I know it's not good, but I didn't have much experience of that. But generally, as we talked, we learned that I'm not much intuitive. We are not much connection to nature. And we had lots of misfortune. So our bet on future is not much positive, unfortunately. So that was the core of it.
All right.
And Carol may like to add more.
Thank you. Nobody adds more. We
I'm
have one
sorry.
spokesperson per group. And you did a good job. Thank you. Next group. Who would like to go next? Grace
I'll
Ann.
go next. Um, I did what Ken did. I accidentally bounced out of the room right when we were concluding. But what we were talking about is how our deep assumptions affect our expectation, and the choice point where you say, do I want to work really hard and make this happen, or are there things going on in the universe, the beneath and beyond and all that, that are telling me this isn't going to be productive, this isn't the way to go, let it go now. So that choice point. And one of the examples I used with Joy was, and I've used it with other people, when I was having trouble getting my horse to go over jumps. And what I realized was, when we first started, they always say don't have a green rider and a green horse learn together. Get one who's experienced that can help the other. But we didn't have that luxury. We stumbled along together. And I realized I would always look at those jumps and think, I have no idea how this horse is going to get over that obstacle. And that didn't help him. And when we would actually do it, I'd be surprised. So anyway, all of that is that bet on the future is eroded when all those beneath and assumptions are working against it.
Thank you. Right under 2 minutes. Appreciate that. Next group. Jim Rogers, you got your hand up. Did you want to go?
Yes, I met with Jack. I think I did most of the talking based on some of Jack's questions. recently, Friday night had a show opening at a local gallery, and I guess I'm still betting and dreaming, I guess, call it that. That I had hoped more people would show up, but I did receive a lot of positive compliments and had a couple of small sales. So I think we talked about marketing, like pricing, things like that. And anyways, I don't know what I can add. Just that I'm still betting. I'm betting on a lot of things.
That's the point. You got the point. You don't need to add anything. You're good. All right. Then we had a fourth and a fifth and a sixth group out there. Who else is going to go? Paul, go ahead, please.
I was in a room with Susan Stewart, met her for the first time, and our conversation had to do with the future, immediate future in her mind, less immediate in mine, about taking a trip and going somewhere. And I am planning and anticipating and looking forward to getting on a plane and making our way to California in another, I think we're leaving in about 8 days, something like that. But story seed. So what does this connect with the idea of betting on the future? It dawned on me all of the trips that I've ever taken over a lifetime, getting in a car, getting on a plane, those two, never getting on a horse. I should do that and go a long way on a horse or getting on a bicycle. And I've always been optimistic. I want to do this. It's going to go somewhere. I'm looking forward to this travel. And did bad things happen as a result of all those decisions? Yes, they did. But the obstacles that you run into, but they are they do not destroy you. If you have your head screwed on right, I'll say that. You learn from all of the bummers that you've gone through. And so it's easy, not easy, anticipating some future that I want to be in, never mind the bad things that happen, because you know what? All the good things that happen. And you have to scramble them all together, to make an omelet. And I'll let it go at that. It was really great being together with Susan.
Thank you, Paul. Next group.
I'll go. I was in with Ken Long, and so we talked about how traders literally bet on the future, and he's creating I believe it's like a tool where the market becomes another person, and you get to learn about how to make bets with the concept that this person is a conglomerate of many minds and many souls, and that we can't control it. So we had just this amazing conversation because we could think about how we also have many minds within ourselves, sometimes more distinct than others. But a lot of times when we make bad choices, like revenge trading or reacting to something really quickly, we're in one of those parts of our psyche that might not be that healthy. So I love this concept of having the market be a person with whom we start to develop a relationship and get to know them and make bets on them. But probably over time, we're thinking we've learned to know that we really have to count on ourselves and be aware of what might happen, but not dependent on the market going the way we want. That's what I'll share.
Thank you, Olivia and Ken. So last up, we got Monty and Sue. I believe that's correct.
I'm going to defer to Sue because she's written a great book on gymnastics, the gymnastics of psychology.
Okay, Sue, you're on for two.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to say that my website crashed this weekend. So my bet, I was kind of narrowed in my focus of it because it just seemed like my bet today is to try to get this worked out and get something back online. So at least my book can be sold, by the end of the day. And so it's, that was like, to me, it's okay. Yeah, that is a bet, but it's kind of overwhelming. So I feel like there's not as much brain width for some of these other things that were like, say, on my to-do list for today, or the future, because yes, my future is related to my book and my book sales, and then my word getting out there will bring in more clients, that type of thing. So even just that one piece of getting that sales page up, it has many more implications all around. It relates to so many more things, even though it's just one, let's say one, major task.
Well, let's ask about that bet. What is the name of your book and where do we find it?
Gymnastic psychology, very
Gymnastic
simple. On
Gymnastic.
Amazon, and the gymnasticpsychology.com website is gone, and gymnastic psychology book is gone. If you Google me, Dr. Sue Massimo or Sue Massimo, everything's there, just none of the pages will load. And even Monty tried on his end. But I have autographed copies of my book, which is why then I can get people on my own website with that, and then I can get them into coaching programs. So I want to advertise my own autographed book.
Gotcha. How much are those?
A bargain at $29.95 because retail is $49.95. And then, but I'm going to give you a free ebook, and then you're going to get some worksheets to go with the book.
Okay, I'll place my order as soon as your website's ready. How's that?
When I get a page up. That's my goal. I did have a question. So what's the difference also on your to-do list based on your goals in life? Like, Jack was talking about, those were some major goals and aspirations that he's got. And of course, his was all in, using positive affirmations, along the way. So where do those fit into your betting on the future?
That's a good point. Well, we have positive affirmations. My websites were not working the last week because I kept running out of Claude credits, and then I ran out of Copilot credits, and I was desperate to get it going. I had to tell myself I love myself 100% now, unconditionally anyway. So that's what I do when I get into the coding abyss of hell. And I just keep trying to do things and it's not working. But the second one I say is, well, Edison failed, I don't know, 9,000 times and got it right once. So,
Mhm.
so something like that. But that's a good question. Let me move now to part two, which is disastrous deaths that affect other people's lives and livelihoods, pensions and whatnot. We're going to do the Enron case. And as I said, Grace Ann Roselle and I have studied this extensively in half a dozen different publications and etc. So I hope you like it. We're going to share it, see what we do. All right. So this is Enron's greatest show, and it's now chapter 3 in the new book on Story Seeds of the Future, based on the 7 Bs, and we're on bets right now. So they had a big bet that energy trading will be bigger than the internet. And then you had your main characters get involved. Ken Lay, Jeffrey Skilling, or Ken, let's see, Jeffrey Fastow, Skilling, and Lay. So Lay was like chairman of the board. Skilling was the CEO. Fastow was the big guy who actually got an award for his betting risk taking cautions with the program he wrote. Turned out he was one of those three were kind of leading the thing. So they had low, what we call a mental quotient of honesty, and they were low on sort of letting people in on what was going on. Now you have Sharon Watkins, who I actually saw present, who claimed to be the whistleblower, but my research is that she actually only told her boss, Ken Lay, what was going on and to curry favor and didn't actually blow the whistle on anybody. Now, they did have one character, Vince Kaminsky, who kept opposing everything that they were doing, saying it was unethical, but he didn't have a big enough voice to let anybody else know outside the company. Then most of the employees, they say, didn't know anything, but come on. If you have hundreds of employees, what's the probability that they didn't know anything? All of them? So they staged a big illusion. On the sixth floor, they had secretaries, as they called them in those days, assistants, a few janitors, anybody hanging around, get on the phone. This is before cell phones, and pretend to be making big deals while one of the executives stood in the front saying, look at that deal, look at our price of stock going up, look at the trades we're doing today, blah, blah, blah. So they impress the investors in this fake trading floor. So there's two kinds of attractors. One is sunshine, and some of us expect our bets to pay off. And then there's others that are attracted to duplicity, being a con artist, putting on a fake show. And that's a big attractor for some people. I know I grew up with my dad, who was an inventor, an entrepreneur, and he had a lot of con artists around him trying to draw him in a lot of bad bets on the future. And he got drew into some, and he always lost his shirt. The collapse of Enron, well, August 2000, and then a year later, and a few months later, in January 2002. Now, it is said that people didn't know that had stocks in Enron that things were going down, but actually, if you look at what was happening to the stock price, it was actually going down, 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 and everybody in the Enron executive group was telling it, hey, it's going to go up. It's just a trend line now. It's going to go back up. Look at all the good things we're doing. And so people held on to their pension investments or whatever it was way too long until the stock was worth pennies. Enron's deception. How did the seventh largest company in the world vanish overnight? And it's inauthentic bets. It's 45 million just from Fastow, the executive in charge of risk taking, but also he made those sort of instruments to put debt into another entity, call it a company, and get it off the books of Enron. So there were a lot of people in Enron that were in the know, and they'd start to hold up a sign in the second image there. And then they were put in a room by themselves and then kicked out the door. So if you said, hey, your emperor has no clothes, image on the left, you were going to be punished. And that's how they kept control for a couple of years there. So what happened? What's the recipe here? You got to lie, some hype about the future. You speak it into existence. People invest. You get somebody like Fastow to cook the books, and then you bully anyone who asks questions. You silence all dissent. So you had Sharon Watkins' testimony claimed that Skilling and Fastow duped Ken Lay, her boss, president of the board, that he was just a puppet. And he had Fastow claiming, hey, they knew everything. These guys knew everything, you know. The three of us did it. And Grace Ann and I, we examined a bunch of those different plots. But the point is, so how did this culture get so toxic in the first place? Well, you got to imagine that Skilling and Skilling in particular, he dressed up as Darth Vader. That should have been a clue right there. And they had big Darth Vader Star Wars things. They had one of their executives would come in on an elephant. So if it's bigger than life, you kind of got to say, hey, what the heck is going on? And the future is waiting. What's your bet? Is the question we have to ask. Now, there are good companies out there. I'll say Satya Nadella bet on cloud first. Reed Hastings, right? Started cannibalizing his own business to develop streaming. And then Jacinda Ardern bet on the kindness of the national security. And I got examples here from what we talked about last week of Sam Walton, Bud Walton, that were making pretty ethical bets. But Mike Duke in Walmart, he was one of the people kind of firing people if they didn't go along with them and not really communicating in a truthful manner. Now there's Doug McMillon, who grew up in the tutelage of Sam and Walton in particular.
I think they put $100 in their airline search.
And Ken, if you could mute yourself, then I can finish up here.
Sure.
Then the mark-to-market accounting of Fastow was the apparatus to get things off the book that were losses to Enron and hide it from the public. So inauthentic bets blow up casinos. Authentic bets do that. You can take the leader assessment and find out more about your own proclivity for betting and how that's going to do you. Now, here's what I'd like to do. I'll tell a story, and I'll bet you all have similar stories. We're not going to ask you about Enron, recalling Enron, because that might hurt your brain. So what we're going to do is see if you've had a story similar to mine on any scale. Okay, so my dad was an inventor. He sold his first invention for $3 million. I was going to take over the family business. And he created another invention after he lost that millions of dollars. And it was a standalone TV, one of the first ever. The big TV screens, you all have them at home now, but this was a big invention. He got a patent award from the U.S. Patent Award for a special magnifying glass that went in there that was like a record. Remember the old big records, the 33 RPM, had the little grooves in it? Well, you can change the distance between the grooves and create a cheap magnifying glass that works pretty darn well. Anyway, he built the business. My younger brothers were assembling the apparatus and fiberglass consoles, putting the screen and everything together, and putting them in bars all over New York and New Jersey, you know, and they had to go on business. So he had an investor from the UK, and this guy sold the stock once, sold all the stock a second time, sold all the stock a third time, took all the money. If you haven't guessed, it's pretty illegal to sell stock multiple times in a company, and went back to England, whereupon my dad was bankrupt again, and my brothers were out of work, and I had to stay in school. So, have you ever seen a situation where somebody was trying to get you to make a bet on your future? Maybe somebody calling you on the phone saying, if you do this, this, and this, your health plan is going to be A, B, and C. Or if you I don't know. Grace Ann gets about 6 of these calls a day on her phone. So I'm sure you all do too. But have you ever seen a con artist in your life? You ever met a con artist? I have. And it's taught me some lessons. So that's the subject of the next breakout. Is any questions? Nazanin.
So just clarify a little bit. Are we going to talk about con artists or bets on the future? Can you just clarify what's the exact question?
Okay, so the question is, have you ever met a con artist? 2, con artists are making bets on the future with you, and they're trying to sucker you in. Did you get suckered in, or you said no? I've been suckered in several times. All right. Is it good? All right, we're going to open up the breakout rooms and wish you well. The rooms are open, and you got 10 minutes. Let's see. Resetting clock here. Did you find your button here? That's interesting. And who is that? Oh, hi, Tanya. We'll put you in a breakout room. You're going to breakout room 2. At least I hope you are. Well, there you go. Did you guys decide to come back early?
I guess. Ken's gonna speak for us
We
today.
had, yeah, we had 10 seconds extra.
Hold on, I
everybody
guess.
will be flooding in.
Yes.
There they are.
I pressed the clock button. Okay, welcome back. All right. Well, we're into the final wrap-up portion. We're in good shape. So we want to take about 15 minutes to share around. So something from each group, a little Q&A, and we'll have our gratitude and close. So what do we got? I know y'all met a con artist. There's a lot of them out there. How many people met a con artist in their life? Okay, who didn't? Who's never been conned? So Sue Massimo, you never met a con artist? Or Jim
That was
Rogers?
up before. But Monty said that he's never been conned.
Really? But did you ever meet one?
We've all met one.
Okay.
I never met one,
Sue.
but I was a victim of Ponzi plan. So I was a victim, but I never really met a real con artist.
Well, I've met several. All right, who'd like to go first? Monty, did you want to say something?
Well, we had a great conversation that both Tanya and Sue had investments, and there was nefarious things that were happening with those investments. And I shared that I've had a financial advisor for 30 years, and yeah, we've had crashes and whatnot with the markets, but they have been always just incredibly straightforward, and there's a tremendous amount of trust, and they've done a tremendous job for me over the years. So I've been really, really, really fortunate on a personal level. I then went on and shared the story that Doug and I have been seeking investors, angel investors for Rougeade and the Cabo platform that we're building. And that sort of started in November, December, and into first quarter. And people are just incredibly skittish on making investments into anything, it seems like at this stage, because nobody really knows what the future has in store. We've entered into an era that we have no clue what's going to happen this afternoon. And so unpredictability is a huge challenge associated with putting bets on the future. And then when you couple that with a general erosion of trust, it is a really difficult environment.
Good point. Anybody else have something like
I just
that?
want to mention one thing is that, and Tanya and her father were both involved in the Enron scam.
They didn't do the scam. They were
No,
victims.
no.
I just want to
We
make
were
that clear for our
investors.
audience out there.
We were investors.
She could get a lot of mail. Okay. Very cool. Who'd like to go next? Jim Rogers.
Okay. Well, I was with Jack again, and he's been the victim of a scam, so he didn't really want to talk about that. So what had come up for me was growing up, my first stepfather, he might have been considered a con man. I do believe he was part of the Jewish mafia that created a musical book called The Fake Book, where they would illegally compile sheet music and put it into one volume and then sell it cheap because it was not copyrighted. It was illegally printed. And an interesting fact is that after he had been arrested a couple of times and served some time in prison for this, that he decided to print them at home. And so that was my first experience with photography. was making, copies of the sheet music that would then be turned into printing plates. I'll leave the story there.
Well, I hope you feel better getting that off your chest.
I don't know. It's just part of my past, and it's a slice of it. There's a lot more.
Okay, we'll wait. We'll wait for another time. Who's next? Grace Ann, you've never been conned. You're totally immune to it, right?
I want to let Joy comment, but just to preface it with, I think even from the bad stuff, something good ends up coming out. And Joy will explain.
If she wants to,
talked
go ahead,
about.
Joy, if you want to.
And with Grace Ann, and what we mainly talked about is that I feel conned by American politics. And I feel conned because I took civics in school, and what I learned about how politics works is apparently not how it works at all. And I'm not citing any particular party more than the other, but I learned that politicians had to compromise, and they had to represent their constituency. They had to represent their district or their state or their area. And what I'm observing in my adult lifetime is not at all what I thought civics and American politics was supposed to be. And I personally feel conned. I feel conned by American politics. And in my area, I have observed an increase in vigilanteism, and I have observed on the internet, bullying is okay, name calling is okay, and so many of the traits that we try to teach our children and we try to model for ourselves somehow have become part of mainstream American politics. And literally in my lifetime, in the last so many years, few years, I have observed a decay on both sides of American politics.
Well, thank you for sharing that. All right, who's next? Carol. And I think Ken after that. Go ahead. Yeah,
I wasn't going to go until Grace Ann triggered something about out of very bad things, good things come. So I'll try to make it short. I had a corporate career, always in IT as a support person. And when I got my MBA, somebody suggested I'd be a good teacher, but I put that off. I would have had to get a doctorate, and that was out of the realm of thinking for me. And I went to work at an investment bank that had this very innovative idea to build an investment bank, which had never been done before. It had always been through mergers. And I was responsible for support services. And we grew from a little under 100 bankers to 400 bankers in 18 months. And then went back down with constant downsizings to 100 bankers again. And there was a board meeting, and after consulting company came in, and the president, who had a big contract, resigned because he didn't agree with the consulting company's solution. And it led to these horrible layoffs, which I tell the story 35 years later, and it still upsets me. And I was privileged downsized before most of the people who worked for me were downsized. And it turned out that 4 stories above me in a building in New York was a subgroup of our investment banking that was dealing in real estate investment trusts. And that's what brought most of the stock market down. Ken and I had a little bit of a talk about that. And out of that, I decided no more corporate. And that's what got me into being a scholar practitioner and working with doctoral students.
Okay.
But the same thing happened with Arthur Anderson because of Enron. And a colleague of mine wrote a book in a series that we did on that. And it just is so painful to revisit that. And I loved what you said, Grace Ann. Look at what the positives are rather than the negatives.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you, Carol.
You're
Ken,
welcome.
you were going to say something, please?
And I looked at con artists as a person who intentionally encourages you to misplace your trust in their proposal when their intention is to use that for their own purpose and your loss. So, not just con artists as we think of it, but just people who don't walk their talk at work, or who undermine, or who exploit the trust relationship, which made us think about what's different about true storytelling circles and the nature of safety and trust with respect to truth. And we went down some rabbit holes on that one. Great interest.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, if we got any more, it's about time to wrap it up. Anybody else? Paul, did you raise your hand? Go ahead.
Yeah. Susan Stewart and I were again in the room, and I think the quickest summary that is accurate is that neither one of us as individuals have suffered economic harm as a result of being conned by somebody. But so how did we dodge the bullet, if we can use that language? And the answer is because we are very suspicious types. We're very conservative in terms of, you want to take my money and do what? And so I never had a whole lot of money to put into anything. And being poor is a really great way to not get conned, because the con artists are looking for people who have money. And it's very obvious when we look at the world as it is. So the drift for us was, what about anybody we know? What about our life experiences? And I have to say, I honestly, within my family and circle of friends, I don't know anybody that suffered from it. So it leaves me kind of with nothing more than, if I look at the world, it's nonstop. How did America get to where it is? It got to where it is because America is a nation of grifters. And it was that way from the very beginning. I've heard that. I don't know that I necessarily believe that. So let that be it.
Let that be a lesson. Well, Paul, I think you've discovered your talent as a consultant.
Yeah.
There's so much to do out there. Grace Ann, did you want to say
I
something?
got to have one response to Paul's comment. If they're a good, successful con artist, you never know.
Yeah. I will tell you about my dad's business partner. He was name was John D, we'll call him. And he would go up and down the East Coast of the United States and borrow and put $10,000 in a bank, borrow the $10,000, put it in another bank, head down, I don't know, to Virginia, do it again, head down to Alabama, do it again, head down to Florida, do it again, go back up to Maine, do it again. He had those banks so confused, he was able to take out a couple $100,000, and they couldn't figure out what the hell he'd done, and he would do it again. It wasn't the most reputable person in my dad's life, but I learned to be kind of suspicious of these people. All right, so we're going to check out now. I'm grateful that I could share with you the new approach to the test banks all in one. And I would hope that you all go and check it out. You can go to Growth OD and click on it, or in thinkman.com and think and click on it, or wherever you want to go. Tanya, you can go to quantumstorytelling.org and click on it. And I really appreciate if you would, so I can make sure I got all the bugs out, but also so I can build the next part of the program to give people a good diagnosis if they want it. Anyway, so as far as I know, it's up and running, works for me, but I'm the inventor. Who knows? So I'll pass it to, who would I pass it to? Tanya, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you coming in. I'm looking forward to our event on December the 5th.
And this is gratitude time, right?
It is, unless you got something you want to bring up.
I'm just grateful to be alive and not a con artist. Grateful for good, honest, wholesome people like on this call that I've met and had the privilege of talking with, working with, just being in a community of good people. And I will pass it on to Olivia.
Thank you, Tonya. Yeah, I'm grateful to have had a time to talk to Ken today and just explore ideas. It's been wonderful, and grateful for all of you. And I'll pass it to Jack. Is he on?
Thank you, Olivia. Did that come through? Well, when I hear the Enron story with David, that's very scary. That story is very scary. And that there's a parallel between the Enron story and talking about scammers and fraud, because it's amazing how many people in our society are living fake lives. You know, number 4B on Bogey's 7Bs was authenticity and presence. And there's none of that. And the Enron story for me is very scary about what's going on. You know, I almost wish I lived when Socrates and Plato and Aristotle were around, when there was more authenticity and during tribal times. So I just wanted to say that that's very scary, and it really gives us a big boost as consultants and coaches for all the work there is to do it out there to get people to be real. I'll pass it on to Sue.
You have to unmute Sue, and Olivia will come back to you at the end.
Yes, something's in front. There, something was in front of my bottom bar. Anyway, yeah, I'm grateful to be here. I haven't always been able to make these, and I was out for a while, and I'm just also grateful I got to meet some new people, and I love the breakout rooms where we can really share and explore and, really look at some of these ideas in a deep way and come out with some, hopefully, like you said, we can start making a difference in the world with the work that each of us do.
Who would you like to go next?
And I'll go.
You turned off your mic.
I was saying Joy. I'm calling on
Joy.
Joy.
Okay, go.
Thanks, Sue. Yeah, I'm grateful to be here today and to share and to get to know all of you, most of you. And I'm grateful that I didn't have a big con story of personally, someone that had cheated me. I think overall, if you order online as often as I do, you're bound to come up with some kind of con. But I am grateful that I've never been conned out of a lot of money on a scam like Enron or anything like that. So I would like to move on to Monty. Monty, have you gone?
No, not yet. I am grateful for David's presentation today on thinking about the future and taking a bet on the future. And this is a little biased, but I would say in many cases, people who cherish a dynamic life also cherish a good bet.
Cool.
And I will go to, let me see here. Carol, have you gone?
No, and I can just say I have to really process what you just said is extremely provocative. And I'm grateful for always being provoked. How about Ken? Ken
He
is
might
on
be
mute.
busy. It's a big day. Let's skip him for now.
Okay. How about Grace Ann?
So I want to present a little bit of the other side of things. I knew a guy, he sold me my original horse, Nadian. And if you want to meet a lot of con artists, get into the horse world. My ex used to say, after you graduate from being a used car salesman, you deal with horses. But what I discovered was some people tell a story which might not be true because for some reason they're compelled to do that. It's more interesting than the truth, I guess. And this was a big discovery for me that I didn't make until after college, that this is true of some people. They would rather distort and invent. And if you look at it in a way, it's a game and they're protecting themselves and it's creative and it's different. I don't know. So anyway, I'm appreciating that I actually knew a true con artist. He was a roofer and he'd laugh about how easy it was to go up on the roof and snow people about what they really needed. And anyway,
Okay.
it's a different world and it adds diversity to our lives.
Okay. The meeting is about to close. We got 5 people to go, so let's go.
My 2 cents are $200 million. Ensemble leadership is what I walk away from here with. That's not about betting.
Cool.
Or it is about, I can bet on every one of you and would cheerfully, happily do that.
All right.
That's my
Thank
2
you.
cents.
And Jim Rogers, his hand is up. Go ahead.
Well, I'm reminded that I have this collectible book on horse trading that was written over 100 years ago. It's a fascinating book. Anyways, I'm grateful that I'm still betting. I'm betting on my future. I'll leave it at that.
All right. Okay. Ken, are you available? You were called on before. You can
Grateful for
unmute.
the engagement and for testing my assumptions.
Oh, Nazanin?
Well, today was really interesting and I learned about the existence of con artists. And while I have to say that the greatest con artist I know is the government of the country I come from, because they take advantage of all the wealth of the country and they are not really artists. They don't care to cover up what they do and they don't care about what people think. They do it just,
Okay.
and everybody know about it. And I'm grateful about the mindful, dynamic discussion today. Thank you.
And last word, unless there's one other I missed, Olivia.
Well, I didn't really have a comment, but then something Monty said made me remember a great quote. If you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much room.
Okay, I got
Go for it.
That's really making me think a lot. Is
From
anybody
the
else
brand
we didn't
joke.
get done yet? Okay. With that, I'm going to close Growth OD for the week, and thank you for being here for Bets on the Future. Next week is we're getting into the being, our authentic self. And tomorrow in Thinkman's Circle is going to go through Heidegger and dig out German words about being in the world. So thank you all.